Hello everyone, I'm Paul and this is problem 3336. Find the number of subsequences with equal GCD. This is a hard problem and next I will show you what I think is a reasonably intuitive solution. We are given an integer array nums. Our job is to find the number of pairs of non-empty subsequences that satisfy the following conditions. First, subsequences are disjoint, meaning no index is common between them, which means that we can't repeat elements. And the GCD of elements of the first subsequence is equal to the GCD of elements of the second subsequence. We have to return this total number of pairs modulo 10 to the power of 9 plus 7. Now, in case you know what GCD is, it's the greatest common divisor. Let's say that we have these two numbers, 20 and 30. The GCD is given by the greatest common divisor among these two numbers. These are all the divisors of number 20. For example, if we do 20 divided by 10, the result is 2 and the remainder is 0. And these are all the divisors of number 30. The greatest common divisor in this example is 10. We don't have 20 here and we don't have 15 here. So we need to split this array into two subsequences such that the corresponding GCDs are equal. For example, here we can build one subsequence with only number 10, another subsequence with numbers 20 and 30. The GCD in this scenario is 10 and the GCD in this scenario is 10 also. Even that these numbers are equal, this is a valid pair, so we can add 1 to the result. And we can do exactly the opposite. We can take these two numbers for subsequence number 1, so here we have 20 and 30, and we take this number for subsequence number 2, here we have 10. GCD here is 10, here it's also 10, and given that GCDs are equal, we add 1 to the result and this is 2. And these are the only valid pairs for this input, so the final result is 2. Now, maybe you're thinking about iterating every pair of subsequences, but as you may guess, this is extremely inefficient. How do we get the number of subsequences in this array? Well, if we start from index 0, we can either take or not take this number, so we have two choices. Next here, we can either take or not take this number, so we have two choices again. And here we have two choices. So we have 2 times 2 times 2 possible subsequences. And this means that we have 2 to the power of the length of the array that we are given subsequences. And if we are trying to iterate every pair of subsequences, we could do this with a nested for loop, and this will require this to the power of 2 iterations. And iterating this number of pairs of subsequences is extremely inefficient. This is a huge number. And just to be clear, here we have the constraints. We know that the length of the array can be up to 200. So this, in the worst case, would be 2 to the power of 200 and to the power of 2. The main idea to solve this is the following. Let's say that we are iterating elements from left to right, so we start from index 0. We have three choices. We can either skip the current element, include it in subsequence number 1, or include it in subsequence number 2. If we skip the element, subsequences are still empty. If we include it in subsequence 1, we have this scenario. We have only a 10 in subsequence 1 and subsequence 2 is empty. If we include it in subsequence 2, we have this scenario. Now we continue with the next index, which means that we can move to the next level. What if we are here? We don't include this number. We have this scenario. Well, now we have three choices again. We can skip the current number, include it in subsequence 1, or include it in subsequence 2. So if we're coming from empty subsequences and we don't include this number, we still have empty subsequences. If we come from here and we include this in subsequence number 1, we get this scenario. If we include 20 in subsequence 2, we get this. And here we have the scenarios for when we include 10 in subsequence number 1. Next, we can either skip 20, include it in subsequence 1, or include it in subsequence 2. For example, if we include it in subsequence number 1, now we have 10 and 20 in subsequence number 1, and subsequence 2 is still empty. And here we have the three scenarios for when we include 10 in subsequence number 2. Next, we can either skip including S1 or including S2 this number. So this is the final decision tree for this input. What we are doing is solving small subproblems and using those results to solve larger subproblems. This is the definition of dynamic programming. So when we are standing at the last index, meaning at the last level in this tree, and we find that the GCD of the two subsequences is equal, for example in this scenario, the GCD of subsequence 1 is 10 and the GCD of subsequence 2 is 10, given that 10 is equal to 10, here we have a valid pair because we are standing at the last index. Now we have already iterated all the elements. This means that at this point we have a base case. We can return 1. In this scenario, subsequence 1 has a GCD of 10 and subsequence 2 has a GCD of 10 also. Given that these numbers are equal, we return true. Now if we use this exact decision tree, we will end up with this scenario also, where we are standing at the last index and the corresponding GCDs are equal, they are both 0. So technically we should return 1, but this is wrong because we are looking for non-empty subsequences with equal GCDs, and these two subsequences are empty. So the final result in this case would be 1 plus 1 plus 1, meaning 3, and we need to subtract 1 because of this scenario with empty subsequences. So what we return here is 2. And with this in mind, there are basically two ways to solve the problem. You can use either a recursive DP approach or an iterative DP approach. Here I will show you the recursive solution because I think it's more intuitive. So with this in mind, let's go with the code. First we have a mod value 10 to the power of 9 plus 7, and now we need a function for our DB. This requires an index and the corresponding GCDs, GCD1 and GCD2. For the base case, if I is equal to the length of nums, now we have already iterated all the elements, so we have two scenarios. If GCD1 is equal to GCD2, we have a successful base case, so we can return one valid pair. Else, we return 0. Now we can say that the total number of valid pairs is 0. We want to return this number, and here in between we have 3 scenarios. What if we don't take the current number? We can say that total is equal to total plus dp. We go to the next index and the corresponding GCDs stay the same. Okay, we are not taking the current number. Now why are we doing total is equal to total plus instead of total plus equal dp? Why don't we do this? Well, because we have a mod value, so we need to take all of this modulo mod. For the next scenario, we are including the current number in subsequence 1. So total is equal to total plus dp. We go to I plus 1, and here we have a function in Python to get GCDs. Here we use two values, the accumulated GCD, GCD1, and the current number, nums. Then we keep GCD2 as it is. And here we use the mod value again. So this is modulo mod. For the final scenario, we include the current number in subsequence number 2. So total is equal to total plus dp I plus 1 GCD1, and here we use GCD with the accumulated GCD2 and nums. And here we use the mod value again. So this is modulo mod. Now we need to cache this, which means that we are storing results of unique indices and GCDs. Okay, now down here we can return a call to dp from index 0. We start from 0 for GCDs, and remember that here we're including the scenario in which we have empty subsequences, but we need non-empty subsequences, so we should subtract 1, and given that we are using a minus, here we need to use the mod value again, and now this is the entire code. So let's submit this and see if it works. As you can see, this works and it's efficient enough. Regarding time complexity, The maximum GCD that we can get for any subsequence is given by the maximum number in nums. So overall time would be big O of n times the maximum number to the power of 2 times log of the maximum number. Each of these operations require log m. And maybe you're still wondering, why do we use a cache here? The answer is that we want to avoid repeated work. Let's say that we are looking at these three scenarios, which means that we are standing at this index. Now, here we have two repeated scenarios. Why? Well, because the index is equal and the corresponding GCDs 10 and 0 are equal. Okay? Given that we are trying to avoid repeated work, we can cache the result of one of these scenarios, so then when we go to the next scenario, we already have the result. If we did not cache this, we would iterate 3 scenarios from index 0. From each of these scenarios, we would iterate 3 scenarios from index 1. Then here 3 scenarios from each of these scenarios. So this would be the 3 times 3 times 3 scenarios, which is the same as 3 to the power of n scenarios. This would be a huge number, so it's very important to cache this. And this is it for today's problem. So if you found this useful, please drop a like, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.